All right, what's going on, everybody? It's Coach Bronson here. Today, my guest on the channel, the podcast, the show. I still don't know what to call this thing because I don't do any of it consistently. So, on this video interview, we'll call it, I've got Colt Milton, who is a carnivore. Correct me if I get something wrong here.
Nope.
Carnivore bodybuilder and coach.
Yep.
All right, fantastic. So, Colt, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started. You can pick one of those. How did you get started in coaching? How did you get started bodybuilding? Or how did you get started with carnivore? And we'll just kind of take it from there and run.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I'll start with the bodybuilding journey then. So
Sure.
that started in 2017. I did 2 shows and did not have a coach. I was like, I can do this without a coach. And I look like the guy that was like, yeah, he probably needs a coach. So just never was able to get lean enough and developed a very, very severe eating disorder, binging, purging. I mean, all the ugly stuff. It was just a nightmare. My hormones were out of whack. My testosterone was tanked. And I was like, what did I just do to my body? But there's a lot of people that do this long term, though. So clearly I did something wrong. But man, it was fun getting tan and getting at least in the best shape that I've ever been in my life. And
yeah, sure.
kind of seeing where I could go with it. And so from there, hired a coach I didn't hire a coach yet. I took another stab at it and really cleaned up my diet, didn't get too crazy carried away with the cardio and overtrained quite as much. Did better the second year. It's still not quite as good. I just wasn't happy with it yet.
Yeah.
So I hired a coach.
You're never happy with it, though.
No.
You're never happy with it, right?
No, not at all. That's I guess what being a perfectionist or being an artist is, right?
Yeah.
And so then the third season was 2019, hired a coach and refined my diet a lot, realizing that I needed a lot of help with my diet because this poor relationship with food just wasn't going anywhere and it wasn't getting fixed anytime soon. So he helped me cut out sugar primarily was the first thing. And we did more of a paleo hybrid diet.
Sure.
And so, it was very, very meat based, not a whole lot of vegetables and lots of complex carbs. I got carried away with the vegetables because I was just hungry all the time. Still, I was on a high carbohydrate diet for about a year straight. About 190 pounds and very, very lean, very shredded. So it was a lot of fun in that regard, but I just felt like crap again by the end of the year. We had my daughter by that point too. And so I was like, wow, I'm being pulled in a lot of different directions and almost got my pro card. Didn't quite get it. That was in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Okay.
So from there, I started dabbling with keto because I just realized I had gone so far down that diet rabbit trail that we normally do to get to the carnivore diet, which is you start with the standard American diet, you clean that up a little bit, you go kind of paleo, and then you clean that up a bit more, and then you go keto, and then by that point you're pretty much you're super close to carnivore. That's kind of the trend that most people take. And so I was dabbling a lot with keto. I loved it, felt great. And then I read Sean Baker's book, The Carnivore Diet, and then I was like, basically was just sold on it ever since. So, when I came back for my last show run, I did 4 shows in 2022. Was able to compete with more muscle mass and was leaner than I was able to on a high carb diet. And
no, tell me it isn't so.
Right? Yeah, you can still build muscle without carbs, right?
Holy crap! It's amazing. It's a miracle.
Yeah. And just feeling 10 times better after these shows, like still being able to.
That's the kicker. And that's the kicker, right? So you can get absolutely shredded eating any kind of diet if you moderate and manage your macros properly. But that doesn't mean you're getting nutrition. And that's one of the biggest things that I try to tell people is macros are not nutrition. And particularly for bodybuilders, your focus from a performance perspective is so much on the macros, you have to try and maximize the nutrition impact while you're doing that. And when you're doing it with a ton of carbs, the more carbs you get, the more fuel dense your food is, the less nutritious your food is. So you're getting less nutrition. So you wonder why everything's all screwed up. It's because you're not getting any food. Your body's got nothing to work with because you're thinking of everything in a Am I burning it or not? Not is my body able to use this for all the things it needs to do?
Yeah. You need to take a step back and look at the entire forest and not just the trees and go, there's a lot bigger picture here. And I think that there's a lot to be said about hormones, quality of life, sleep, managing your stress,
Yep.
and not just exactly what's on paper and what we can actually track.
Yeah, absolutely. And the really cool thing about this, that anybody watching this video, I want you to take away from this. Most of the people that follow me and most of the people that follow my content are in the process of getting healthy. So they're looking at me, they look at you, and they're like, well, this doesn't apply to me because these guys are already in shape, blah, 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 blah. And that could be further from the truth. What I want everyone to understand is the principles that you followed in order to perform better on stage are the same principles that someone needs to follow when they're trying to fix their metabolic dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's about nutrient density. It's about bioavailability. It's about satiety. It's about getting the quality, not the quantity, and doing what's best for your long-term life and quality of life and sustainability. You're only on stage for 10 minutes, right? You've still got the rest of your life to live. So the choices you make are trying to get you the best shape possible for those 10 minutes, but you still got to figure out how to sustain continuing to do that, but then also being able to play with your kids and eventually your grandkids and everything else. So that's part of the equation. So it doesn't matter if you're a bodybuilder. It doesn't matter if you're 100 pounds overweight. The principles of what we're applying are the exact same thing. They just are, you just use them differently based on where you are.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But cardiovascular training a year ago was an hour straight on the stair mill.
Yeah. Right.
Every single day after a very intense workout. After I
so boring. Oh my gosh.
And today my cardio is we did a bunch of bike sprints. My kids are super into bikes. They're
cool.
3 and 5, and so I'm just trying to keep up with them.
Yeah, right. There you go. That's awesome. No, that's fantastic. Especially I love the whole idea of getting the kids involved. But it's crazy sometimes when I have conversations with people, and you may come across this too, when I tell them, you don't have to do so much cardio. And it's almost like I'm taking something away.
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to take their toy from them. Like, but I want my cardio. But then they're the same people who are like, I hate running. I hate this. I hate that. Why do I got to spend so much time doing this? It's like, you don't. I just told you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And there's such a mind screw going on with people when it comes to cardio.
Cardio is great at losing weight. I mean, nothing will make you lose weight faster than jumping on the stair mill for an hour straight with your waistband on and all the tricks that everybody does with a topical fat burner or something. And yeah, you'll get really fast results. But what are you doing to your metabolism? What are you doing to your cortisol levels? What are you doing to, are you really going to be able to stick to that, not just up into the show? Okay, great. Congratulations. But are you going to be able to keep that up the rest of your life? Because all of a sudden you're going to gain, you're going to gain. I've seen people gain 30 pounds in 1 month coming out of a competition because they don't do a reverse diet and they just blow up like a big balloon.
Absolutely. And that's the aspect of the cardio as the solution. And when we say cardio is great for fat loss, I'll caveat that with cardio is great for fat loss in the short term and while you consistently do it.
Yeah.
If you stop doing it, it's going to stop. And you can keep doing it, but the problem is you're going to work yourself to a point of super efficiency where even when you're doing it, your body's going to think you're not doing it and you're going to start gaining fat again. So it's a point of no, it's a diminishing return. You just have to keep going longer and longer and longer in order for your body to do what you want it to do. I like I call cardio simulated healthy metabolism, because you're doing an activity that's acting. It's telling your body, these are the things I want you to do, as if you were active. But if you just built muscle, it would do those same things whether you're doing something or not.
Yeah.
So if you build muscle, you don't have to do cardio. If you build muscle and improve function and do all the things that it takes, just the activity of building muscle is going to help in that process as well. So there's a lot of factors that go into cardio. Can be a tool, and it does help with the functional aspect of you should be able to do things and build endurance. You should have endurance to do activities. but that's a fraction of all the other things you should have as well. And it shouldn't be the focus of what your training is.
Exactly. In addition to the metabolic damage that takes place too, non-activity thermogenesis. So it makes no sense to do what I used to do, which would be an hour on the Steromill at level 7. I don't know if that's good or bad, but for me, I'm covered in sweat.
Level 1 on the Steromill sucks. So
okay,
whatever,
yeah.
Go for level 7. That's all you, man.
Dude, no, okay. So the Steромills just suck. Like, have you ever been on a Steromill and looked around and just like seen how people are picky about them too? They walk around back and forth.
Oh yeah.
Trying to find the best one. And I'm like, dude, it's a Steromill, man.
They're all
suck. It doesn't matter which one you get on.
And it's like the Steromill has this cone of time around it where time doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I swear I get on a Stepmaster or Steromill, and it's like, okay, I've been on here. I know I've been on there for 20 minutes. And then I look down and it's like 4.5 minutes. I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, what the hell? There's no way. I've been on here forever. It can't be that. It's got to be, yeah, it's horrible. Yeah. I hate them.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So anybody that does, for whatever reason, want to go on the Steromill for a very long period of time, rookie mistake is you have to have something very, very entertaining to do, or something very, very, very important to do. Like save your favorite audiobook for that or something. But
podcast, watch a movie, something. You gotta just completely take your mind off the fact that you're doing this to yourself.
Yeah, that's how you survive the Steromill. But you should really just forget everything I said the last 5 minutes and just not do the Steromill at all.
There's that as well.
Yeah. And not just the fat loss aspect of it. I mean, that works too, but you do lose a lot of muscle mass when you're on the Steromill too, just for the record. So like you'll notice that you don't see a lot of natural athletes that are doing that extreme amount of cardio. It's usually an enhanced athlete, because then they can get away with the shouldn't say get away with, but you have an easier time with the nutrient partitioning aspect of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes no sense to do an hour of cardio and then the rest of the day you're just a bump on a log because you're so wiped out from what you did before. Compare that to not doing any cardio at all, just going about your normal day. And then you find yourself just naturally wanting and having more energy to do more activities throughout the rest of the day. And that could be, if you're married, great, having some fun. If you're a parent, doing something fun with your kids. But right before and after a lot of my shows, I remembered like even my blinking wouldn't be like I wouldn't blink as much. Like I'd be fidgeting less. I mean, just everything. You're doing so much cardio. You're torched. Your
body, your central nervous system, and that's part of the aspect of metabolism that I like people to understand, is that it's not how we burn fuel. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, if someone Googles metabolism, half of the definitions for metabolism are going to be how your body burns fuel to function, right? Stuff like that. And that's the kind of the wording that goes into it. When it's really, if you want the actual definition of metabolism, it's all of the chemical processes of the body, which literally means every single function of your body. So it has nothing to do with the amount of fuel that we use. It has to do with how well do the functions in our body process and make our body work. So when we're talking about muscles, we're talking about how well do those myofibers and myosin and how does all that stuff work in your muscle fibers? How does your motor units work? How does your brain work? How does your digestive system work? How does your lymph system? I mean, there's so many, we could go on and on, right? Hormones and intestinal tract and cardiovascular and your gonads. I mean, your sexual health is a part of it as well. So, I mean, there's so many different things that go into metabolism. To boil it all down to eat less, work more from a way of managing health is, when you really look at it, it's really kind of idiotic.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It kind of drives me nuts sometimes when people are like, you're going to slow your metabolism down. Like, but it doesn't slow down or speed up. It's either working well or it's not. There's a big difference.
100% agree.
Yeah. So from a bodybuilding perspective, you noticed that going carnivore helped your bodybuilding process. What are some of the things from your workouts, how your workouts changed, how your recovery changed, things like that you noticed going to a more meat-based diet?
Oh, yeah. So my workouts as of lately have changed. I wouldn't say more so diet related, so much as my lifestyle has been demanding it.
Okay.
I've been overtraining for quite some time, especially up through these last shows. And I've really learned the biggest lesson I've learned over this last year is that less is more, especially when you're cutting. I don't know the exact study, but you're probably familiar with the fact that when you are cutting and your goal is to maintain muscle, you only need about a third of the training volume.
Okay.
So it's like basically you have to work 3 times as hard to be able to get it, and a third of the amount to be able to.
Right. It's definitely easier to maintain than it is to build, for sure.
Right. So some of my workouts were just a joke, just ridiculous, like 40, 50 working sets of compound exercises.
What are you doing
in a day? Yeah, no, it's just the mindset of more is better. That's a mindset that'll really get you the wrong direction fast.
Crush you, man. Yeah. How old are you?
I am about to turn. Let's see. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm gonna.
Hey, happy birthday!
Thanks. They're not getting as exciting anymore because I'm turning 31.
Oh, dude, I got 20 years on you. Let me tell you, less is more is something you need to learn now.
Yeah,
and you'll be doing a lot better in the next 20 years for sure.
Yeah, amen.
Awesome.
So yeah, so my working sets now are about 20, 23.
Okay.
Yeah, and so instead of doing the same exercise like German volume training, which is
the good stuff.
Yeah, I've done a lot of that over the years, and I really believe that it helped get through some plateaus that I was having a hard time with.
Okay.
It's never anything that I teach, but lately my workouts are more European style training. So I'm doing about 3 or 4 working sets per exercise, and then if you still have gas for that 5th set, then you probably didn't give those first couple sets everything that they really deserved.
Yep.
So my workout today was seated hammer curls, leaning back, finding a better muscle isolation that way. And then supersetted that with bent over laterals. And so that was 4 sets of each. Next set was heavy bent over laterals for the upper back. And then a reverse push-up variation with my hands supinated so I could get the lats in, work my entire body that way. My lower back has been hurting, and so I saved the compound exercise for last. So I did unilateral low rows. I wasn't even feeling the entire barbell. I think I went too heavy on the barbell last week, and so I'm still recovering from that.
Why is your back hurting?
I had a herniated disc, never diagnosed, but just what every conventional deadlifter does. Conventional deadlifting is extremely taxing on the lower back, and that's what I attribute probably most of my back density to is conventional deadlifts. But they do come with a very high price, and back issues are one of them.
Yeah, they don't have to be. So I want to make that clear. Deadlifting is a fantastic thing to do, but when you're in that mindset of more is better, then that's definitely going to be a problem. That goes from a volume, a weight perspective, and most frequently when that happens, then you're lifting in a compromised position. So something's definitely going to happen.
Totally.
Deadlift is fantastic. So what I would recommend, something to think about, if you know that you're having an issue with your lower back and you have something that's going to affect that area, do it before you fatigue anything else.
So fatigue I'm sorry, fatigue what first?
Do it before you fatigue the other stuff. So what happens, right? If you're fatigued and you do that last, you're actually increasing your potential risk of doing something bad because now everything around that area is tired. So it's harder for you to maintain good position. So I would do that area first so you can feel if something's tweaking, if you're not getting in the right positioning, if you're not bracing properly, and all the other surrounding areas aren't fatigued already, knock that sucker out. You'll have a better chance of feeling if something's wrong while you're doing it, and then go do everything else. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I like that strategy too. Yeah. Where my mind was going with this was I was going to pre-fatigue the primary muscles that I was working on today, which is my lower lats. It's kind of my focus right now. But to just be able to do the exercise safely, I wanted my back to be fatigued first, and so that my legs would still be fresh, and the spinal erectors, and so that my back was failing first, if that makes sense.
Your back. So you wanted to use your back as your gauge for how heavy do you want it to go?
Okay, so so my goal is to train the is to train the lats, right? Because I'm working on like my lower lat inserts and the size of my lats.
As is everyone.
Yeah. Rule number one of aesthetics is nobody has too big of a back. Whenever
exactly.
Yeah, I don't care what category, bikini, bodybuilding, anything. Everybody can always use a wider back, and if it's too wide, you can hide it. So, but anyway. So if that's the goal, is to work those with a heavy compound lift, like I kind of structure my entire workout around that and go, okay, if my core lift for the day is going to be a row for the low lats, barbell if I'm feeling up to it. If I'm not, I'll do something unilateral. So I did a machine row for one arm at a time.
Okay, so you did a seated machine row.
I'm trying to describe. I'll do my best to describe the machine that I have to work with. It's my own machine. It's called a master press. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's great. No. So like for anybody that has a home gym setup, this thing is best use of your square footage. Yeah, it's called a master press. So it's an isolateral overhead press, chest pressed, and you can lower the things to the floor. Yeah. So I'll lower the arms to the floor and do like face pulls and rows and all kinds of stuff with it. Okay. Yeah. Using the supinated grip because that is usually what brings in the lower lats.
Yeah. So I would definitely, if you're doing anything standing for your lower back, I would definitely do it first if you have low back issues.
Wow. Okay. That's great. That's great.
Because you're talking about, so we're talking about closed chain, right? You're trying to keep a closed chain with the connection from your shoulders through your hips to your knees and your feet, right? So basically from the floor through your shoulders, if half of that chain is already fatigued, then it's not going to be a strong chain. I would totally do that first. That way that whole global connection is intact while you're lifting that weight and moving that weight. And it should actually be easier for you to target your lats and feel that connection if you do it before you do everything else.
Okay.
So play around with it, see what happens. I'd love to hear if that makes a difference for you.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you on that and let me know because I've been coached the opposite actually. I've been
really
coached it. Yeah, so
you gotta love it, man. You gotta love it.
Yeah. Okay, so because the first coach that I had that taught me just lifting, not a prep coach or anything.
Sure.
His name is Jim. He would teach us to do, like if we're training legs, to do your leg extensions, to do your calves, and to do your hamstrings. I would today add glutes onto there as well.
Sure.
We never did any glute isolation, but basically you'd work everything from the waist down. Then you do your squats, and so that when you do fail, your legs are failing first, and your back is totally fresh the entire time.
Okay, so that's different. And that's fine. And that makes sense, right? Because from a squat perspective, like we're talking about barbell back squats, we're talking about in many cases, your core is going to break down before your legs do. And that's where most people lose it. Right. So they're like, I can't lift anymore. But if you put them on a leg press, they can throw on another 80 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not a leg strength issue. It's a global connection issue. Right. It's that global core connection, right? We call it core to extremity, if you've heard that phrase before.
I have not.
So yeah, look up core to extremity. So all power starts in the hips, right? And what controls the hips? Your ability to isolate and produce force from your core out to the rest of your body, to your limbs. So if any of that is compromised, then you'll have less power in general. So what I'm talking about isn't for the isolation of the lats, it's for the protection of your lower back.
Okay.
So it's a different, again, same concept that you're talking about would work great if you weren't talking about a back issue.
Right.
So because you're talking about having a back issue, I'm saying if you want to have the highest safety margin in doing that movement and not hurting your lower back, I would do that first before you did the other stuff.
Great.
Does that make sense? So he's right in what he's talking about, but I'm switching it because of the injury.
Yeah. That does make a lot of sense. And we never really did a lot of back when, because like lifters, like most people don't really train their back a whole lot. But maybe he would have treated it differently had we, done more back together. So yeah, that's really interesting. But I'll experiment with that too. And
And the focus being, the focus will be on, how does my back feel when I'm doing this? Do I feel like I don't know how you normally feel with it, but I just triggered on that. It's hard not to coach, right? I hear something, I'm like, ooh, what about that? Let's dig into this a little bit. Why are you doing that?
Oh,
This
sure.
turned into a coaching session. Sorry.
No, you're good. And actually on that note too, have you ever done Jefferson deadlifts?
Jefferson, probably, but there's so many variations. Which ones are those?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
feel like I've
So
heard of that for sure.
right. So whenever I do have lower back issues, this is what I do, and this usually
I'm gonna Google
addresses.
it while you're talking.
Yeah. David Delanave is probably the first thing you're going to see come up. But I think he's the one that kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
more popular.
Yeah, I've seen those for sure.
Yeah, so it's an asymmetrical move, not
Yep.
a move where you're putting all the strain on your posterior chain, right?
Yeah.
So for working around lower back issues, it addresses that, and because you have to. The hardest part about the lift is not twisting while you're bringing the bar up.
Right.
It's a very complicated move to get down, but once you do get it down, it should feel a lot more natural than doing any kind of deadlift where you're pulling from the front.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Well, so I like to. That's what I love trap bars for. Anybody that has back issues, and I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
I would probably say 90% of the population, if you're going to deadlift with a trap bar. You don't have to deadlift with a barbell, and you also don't have to go all the way to the floor. There's so many people that are trying to deadlift from the floor, and they need to raise that bar up 2 or 3 inches just so they can maintain a proper position. So, yeah, absolutely, that's cool. If anybody is interested in the different variations of deadlift, I think the Jefferson deadlift is something to take a look at. The weight will be a lot lighter. It's a more of a complex move, like you said, Colt. So take your time learning how to do it, but it can be beneficial if you have any issues. And the idea, the same with the trap bar, for people with back issues who want to deadlift, who need to deadlift. Most people need to deadlift. It's keeping that weight at as close to the center of gravity of your body as possible, so that you're not having to manage a shift back or forward. That's going to throw additional strain on your back. So the more close to center of gravity that bar is going to be, the less strain on your back you're getting, essentially.
Yep.
So that's
exactly.
fantastic.
I'll also add to that the conventional deadlift does add it does incorporate a lot more of the upper back.
Yes, for sure.
And so if you're building and you can get away with doing conventional deadlifts, I mean it's a fantastic exercise, but it's definitely an exercise that works for some people, and some people just flat out don't need to do it. Just because the bar and your point too, not having to go all the way down every time. Just because the bar is so far from the floor doesn't mean that that's as far as you have to go to make it an effective exercise. The only reason the bar is that far from the floor is so that Olympic athletes don't crush their heads. That's it. Has nothing to do with where the bar should actually be going. When you go into the gym, your whole mindset should be, okay, there's a whole bunch of tools in here, and every tool has the same purpose. It's to make one muscle do something and grow and have a reason to grow. And if your goal is to move as much weight as possible from point A to point B, then put it in the elevator or get a forklift or something. Don't use your body.
I love it. You're going to piss off all the power lifters that are watching this.
Sorry.
No, I think that's it's a good thing to remember for people when they're going to the gym, is that, everything in the gym, even yourself, your body can be a tool. So you have to apply the things that you're doing to improve your physical ability to the things that you want to do in your life. So if I'm building a house and I have absolutely no desire to put in a ground pool, then why am I going to hire someone to dig a giant hole in my backyard? That's not going to work. That's not anything that I need to do. And a lot of people are in the process of doing things right now. They're digging holes in the backyard, but they have no plan on putting in a pool. So because they're not thinking about the things that they're doing and how they actually affect their life. And they need to, in many cases, they're doing too much. They need to scale back. In a lot of cases, they're doing the wrong things. They need to ask themselves, is what I'm doing working? Because that's a phone call that I get often. I've been doing this for 2 years and I'm frustrated. I'm stuck. Well, maybe that thing isn't working and we need to find something else, 100%. So, and I think if you've waited 2 or 3 years, you have a right to be frustrated, because that's a long time to be stuck.
Yeah.
If you're stuck after 3 months and you can't figure out what you need to do to get going, start looking for help right then.
Mm-hmm.
And ask for help. This is another thing. I don't know how many people you work with that are just following every random thing that they find without any application of context, or does this apply to me? Is this something that I should be listening to? But so-and-so said to do this, so that's what I'm going to do. That's another reason people get stuck.
Yeah. There's so much information. You can make a case for you can take all these scientific articles, and my favorite theologian Chuck Missler says if you torture the data enough, you can make it say anything you want.
Yeah.
You can make an argument that alcohol is good for you. I used to be on that bandwagon. I don't drink anymore, and I don't have anything against it. I just like literally don't want it anymore, and it's just every time I drink, I just don't like the way I feel, so I just don't. Yeah, but you can look up alcohol is good for you and have a beautiful argument and okay, walk away literally believing that it's good for you. And nutrition is the exact same.
Yeah, it's what is it doing for you? How do you? So what is your? We talked about a lot of the fitness stuff. Let's talk about the nutrition side of things. What you said you read Dr. Baker's book. How do you carnivore?
How do I carnivore? I would call myself 85-90% carnivore.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. Every single
Oh my God, you're not strict?
No. I do have a couple carnivore sins. So first one would be artificial sweeteners. I don't care. You know what? I test my ketones before, I test them afterward. I'm still in ketosis. So I'm like, I know it's probably not the best thing for my gut, but it tastes really good. And I already cut caffeine a couple months ago. Those are some nasty withdrawal symptoms. So
yeah. Okay.
like,
it's funny, you know, I've cut a couple of times and I never really have withdrawal. Like I drink at least 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day.
Oh, that's why.
I've gone. You were doing more than that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I went from
okay.
Yeah, I cut it cold turkey from like 200 milligrams a day to 0. But at my peak during competition seasons, though, man, I was about 15.
Well, because it's all about burning, right? It's helping you burn.
No,
theoretically.
I think I was using it as a crutch, as an appetite suppressant. And,
well, yeah, there's that too, for sure. Okay.
Yeah, and then just being low energy, low thyroid, all that miserable stuff. You know, it's just caffeine was kind of. I would have that with DM. I was getting backwards. It's DMAA and DMHA. I think DMAA has been banned for a while, and then DMHA. Uriagerensis. Boy, that's a hardcore stimulant that's in quite a few pre-workouts that you can just buy off the shelf still.
Right.
But yeah, like I would need probably 300 milligrams of each of those just to wake up and feel normal.
Yeah. And that's interesting because I don't know if you know, I think it was earlier this year, there was a meta-analysis that came out that showed that pre-workouts don't do squat for you.
Yeah.
And
well, they hurt your workout. You get it inhibits your blood flow. So my old bodybuilding coach was trying to get me off of it forever.
Yeah.
And when I did cut it, I just felt super lethargic in the mornings. That was tough, but I noticed more energy later in the day. But the biggest plus that I noticed right away was my muscle pumps in my workouts were twice what they were before.
But everybody's like, I got to get this in for the pump. It's like, no, it's not actually helping you.
It's hurting your pump.
Right. Fantastic. Have you looked at James? You know who James D. Nicolantonio is? Have you read his books?
I'm very sorry, I haven't. No.
Okay, so look up Dr. James D. Nicolantonio. It's a long last name. He's got a book titled Win, W-I-N. And he is the electrolyte guy. So he's basically, this book is a 400-page book on a breakdown of all of the science behind how electrolytes and sodium can improve athletic performance.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So he actually recommends. Yeah,
he recommends my area of expertise too. So this is even better.
It's a fantastic book. I think you'll love it. He recommends. I want to say, is it 3 to 5 grams of sodium an hour before a workout?
Yeah.
As a pre-workout.
Yeah, that's
it's better than any pre-workout you're ever going to buy off the shelf, and it actually works.
Yeah,
increased blood volume, all kinds of stuff.
My co-coach Mark and I, that's it. That's our pump. That's our pump formula. Water and salt. There you go.
Water and salt every day.
Something that has and a potassium heavy salt too. Not a salt that's not BS salt. Real salt.
Right. Yeah. I just slam elements. I put to like 2 or 3 elements in my water, and that's what I have before I go.
What's your favorite flavor, or do you do the unflavored?
All of them. I don't really have a favorite.
You like the habanero one? That
Literally
one's gross, man.
we
I don't
have
know what they
so
were
many
thinking.
boxes. Yeah, we have so many boxes of Element that it's literally just, okay, the shelf is empty. Let's go grab a couple of boxes, put it in the shelf, and then I literally kind of open the door, grab my hand, and grab some. Like, I don't even look at what we have.
Yeah.
I use chocolate in my coffee, or if I'm making a hot chocolate at night with some like chocolate Equip or something like that. But most of the time, it's whatever flavor just happen to grab.
Yeah. Yeah, I would recommend anything by Celtic or by Redmond. And
Redmond, if you do, I'll do Redmond in my water as well, for sure. Just dump a bunch of Redmond in there.
Yeah, that works too.
Do that. Yep. Absolutely.
Totally.
Cool. So, what are you eating today? How tall are you? And what do you weigh right now? What are your...
This morning I'm 201.0 and
Okay.
I'm 6'1", currently cutting 4 or 5 weeks out. I think I'm 4.5 weeks out for a guest posing gig, not competing.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And what are you eating today at 200 pounds?
So my first meal every single day for the last 2 months, it's been this like clockwork for the last 2 months. It's been nothing but keto bricks and beef. So basically the lion diet with keto bricks.
The lion diet with keto bricks.
Yeah.
How much beef do you eat?
So I'm doing about 2.5 pounds, I think.
Okay.
My first meal is a little over half of a brick, 84 grams right now of a keto brick, with yogurt, and that'll give me great brain fuel the rest of the day. I wouldn't work out like that. I always work out fasted first thing in the morning, so it's been a couple hours. That's my first meal. It always has about 40 to 50 grams of protein in it. And then I always try to have about 10 or 20 grams more of fat within that first meal. First meal is where I'm super particular about my macros. Okay. And then from there, I feel it out. If I feel like I'm lacking recovery, and maybe that should be my focus. And if I'm feeling particularly hungry, probably means that I need some more protein. If I'm feeling kind of lethargic and just kind of low on energy, probably means I need more fat. So between ground beef and butter, it's super simple. All I do is eat more beef when I feel like I need it, and eat more butter when I feel like I need it too. Always with lots of salt. And as far as hydration goes, always enough to where my pee is like kind of straw yellow, but not like burnt yellow.
Yep.
Making sure I'm not overhydrated or underhydrated, and just following my satiety signals. And that should be, I mean, if anybody does that and sticks exactly to that, your satiety signals should guide you exactly where you need to go. Yeah. But I always do but I always eat them in that order, because anything plant-based is going to throw off my satiety signals. If I'm staying with just meat, I'm super in the clear. And I'm not even trying to stick to just beef right now. It's all, it sounds good. I just love it. And I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better the more I stick to just that and eliminate everything else.
Yeah. I think for me, if I had to not eat something that would, and I'd have a problem, like for me, something that I would have a problem cutting out would be eggs. Like I can't go more than 2 days without, like, I need some eggs. I need some eggs. I need some eggs. I gotta have some eggs.
Okay, I have been having a couple of eggs here and there for that same reason. Because I mean, eggs are bomb,
right. You can't. I feel like I just can't not have eggs. So
yeah,
there's always eggs in the house. There's always eggs cooking somewhere. It's fantastic.
Have you ever done cool? So duck eggs or chicken eggs?
Chicken eggs. Chicken eggs. We don't have a lot of access to duck eggs where I'm at.
Okay. I just tried
if we did, we'd get them. We love duck eggs. Absolutely.
Oh, I had no idea. Yeah, I just tried them for the first time. They're like super creamy, twice as much flavor, twice as big too.
Yep. I just saw a video. Somebody had showed a video of them cracking and cooking an ostrich egg.
Oh, what?
An ostrich egg. That thing was huge. It was ginormous. It was like the size of the whole pan.
Oh, that's something we got to try.
I want to try that. I'm definitely going to try that. It looks good. So what about coaching? How long have you been coaching, and what kind of stuff do you coach? Just people that are trying to do bodybuilding, or what's your coaching program look like?
Okay, so we have I would say a third of our athletes are bodybuilders, meaning they've either done a competition and they're going to do another one, or they have like their first one on the calendar, and they're all in pretty wicked shape. then there's a third that are in the middle that are like, I would like to maybe do a bodybuilding show someday, but I'm not really sure. Let me put it this way. I just want to train and see how far I can go with my physique, and then make a decision a couple months later if I'm really liking it. And then we got a third of people where I would classify them as beginners, and they didn't hire me to be on my YouTube channel or on social media or anything. They're just like, hey, look, no, I just want to lose 50 pounds, and you teach the carnivore diet. And so,
right.
Yeah. And we're at about 20 people. So like,
okay, cool.
Anything more than that is pretty tough. And we've been doing that for 3 years now.
Yeah, it's definitely, you got to cap it and be like, I can't take any more people. Only have so much time.
Yeah, it's a lot of emotional bandwidth, like those conversations about falling off the wagon and getting back on track.
Yeah. Go into that a little more. What do you mean by emotional bandwidth? Because a lot of people, I feel, have an image of coaching as just give me your macros and, tell me what I need to do for a workout, and I'll send you my information. You tell me how I need to adjust. And that's what coaching is all about.
Right. Yeah. The easiest thing to do as a coach is just to tell somebody to eat less, move more, and here, pay me $1,000 for 3 months or whatever. And and you just wasted all your money, and then you come out of it with an eating disorder, and you have all these hormonal issues.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it happens. And you can't ask for your money back because there's like only a 30-day guarantee or something. And the coach probably knew that. If it's someone that has, I wouldn't even say maybe bad intentions. Some coaches maybe don't even know that they're a bad coach if that's how they do it. But before writing someone's meal plan, you got to know everything that's going on in their life. Like what's gonna happen to them. What's their feeling and their reaction going to be when they get that email? They look at that PDF and go, okay, this is what I'm eating right now. I mean, what you eat and how you exercise and what you do every day and how you treat your body is really, really important to the individual. And if it's something that's sustainable, great. But taking someone from a standard American diet and just cutting everything cold turkey, changing their entire life to something that they're not used to, their family's not used to, they don't know how to communicate to their friends. I mean, that's going to backfire really quick. And so, usually that first week before I even write someone's plan, I just ask everybody, what's your favorite band? I don't know. We start talking about music, and we start talking about religion, and we start talking about just whatever it is that we have in common, and get a feel for who that person is. And then when it comes to writing their meal plan, I'm like, okay, this is something that's going to work for them, or this is something that this is something they're going to like. If they don't like it, then it's not worth it. I would argue that it's better to have. I read a really good verse I think it said something like, better to enjoy a meal of vegetables in good company with love and laughter than to eat meat and be PO'd or something. Anyway, it's in the book of Proverbs. I'm really sorry. I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head, but just clearly saying that there's no one size fits all.
Sure. Yeah. The object is consistency and sustainability. So it doesn't matter. And this is something that I see in the negative all the time in the gym, right? How many times you go in the gym and you see these guys who are absolutely jacked, and you look at what they're doing and they're not doing anything right.
No.
Like at some point in time, that person's body is going to completely break down, and they're just going to have to completely stop what they're doing. But there they are, squatting and deadlifting and doing all these things. They look fantastic, and they have the worst movement ever, and their technique is horrible, but they walk around and they're the biggest dude in the gym, right? Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make an argument that they're doing anything wrong, because the evidence looks like they're doing all these things fantastic. Look at them. They're huge. I'm going to be like them. So the idea that consistency will get you further than anything is 100% true. And we see that that's one example. That's in the negative. But, if you're just doing something consistently every single day, and the best way to do something consistently is to find something you like doing. So that's where a lot of people are like, well, you're carnivore. I don't know if I want to do carnivore. I'm like, okay, great. You don't have to.
Yeah.
What level of change can we make in your diet that you're ready, willing, and able to do that you're going to do every single day? That's where we start. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing. It doesn't have to be some whatever. It's what works best for you.
Yeah. My wife and I just had a heart-to-heart yesterday about her diet, and she's like, I really like my salads. I really do. I mean, like every day for lunch, it's like my favorite thing. And there's never a lot of greens in it. And so whenever someone does say, hey, I like salad. First of all, I'm like, why? But whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, you like salads, great. So what do you want in your salad? And they're like, oh, well, like I'm a huge fan of dairy, cheese, blah blah, or beef, whatever. What type of lettuce should I use? I always recommend if you're gonna have a salad and you're really trying to minimize the damage from oxalates and all the anti-nutrients that are in plants, is to stick with iceberg lettuce or romaine or something that's like
stick with the wateriest, most lacking that leafy plant there is. Yep.
Minimize the damage. Yeah, and chew it all up so you don't have all that fiber and sitting around in your gut for the next 24 hours.
Yeah. When people tell me that they like their salad, they don't want to get rid of it, I ask them, would they eat it without any dressing?
Oh,
and
that's good. Yeah,
more times than not, the answer is no.
There's no way I would eat a salad. There's no way I would eat a salad with no dressing. Are you kidding me?
Right. More times than not, the answer is no. So it's usually not the salad that they're actually missing.
Yeah.
It's two things. It's the dressing or the other things they put into it, the cheese, the ham, the egg, whatever. It's all the stuff that they could eat by itself without the salad if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Or it's the idea that salads are healthy that they haven't let go of, and they still feel like they need to have that in order to be on a healthy diet.
Mm-hmm. Jim Gaffigan has this whole bit on salad. Like, I like salad. I like salad. I love salads. I love salad dressing, that is, with a touch of lettuce.
Yeah, exactly.
His joke, not my joke.
Cool, man. So tell us a little bit of where can people find you, and what other stuff you got working on right now?
Our two newest projects right now are our new podcast, Carnivore Coach's Corner. That one can be found on all platforms that I'm aware of. I think I've got it on just about every single audio platform there is. And what Coach Mark and Coach Jonathan and I do, Jonathan Griffiths is the composition consultant from the UK, and Mark is out of Ireland. So the three of us go over frequently asked questions that we get in our one-on-one consultations from whoever it is that we're training.
Cool.
And we coach each other. They're clearly the two that are far more experienced, and so you kind of see me learning along the way.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and then our own show is the supersetyourlife.com podcast. So from there, I'm on Instagram at Colt Milton, and I think that's pretty much it. Skull Bells. That's our other business. We make skull-themed workout equipment, dumbbells, barbells. Okay. Yeah, been doing that for 3 years too. So we started doing that same time we started coaching when we lost our jobs because of the pandemic.
Been there, done that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so that's Skull Bells, SKULLBELLZ.
Fantastic, man. I'll put all that information in the description of the video.
Great. And our YouTube channel too, just Skull Bells TV.
Awesome. Cool, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for being on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Take it easy.
You too.